What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to get you guys a little excited for the 2025 NFL season and telling you guys why the Minnesota Vikings have a very good chance to win the division this year. But let's first look at the bookmakers out west and how they think the North is going to shake up this season. So these odds are from DraftKings here. Still the Detroit Lions, plus 150. I think they should be the favorites, no doubt in my mind there. Then the Green Bay Packers at 2, plus 250. I think maybe them and the Vikings should be tied at the number 2 spot, but then you do have the Chicago Bears at plus 450. Now, when we showed these odds, I think it was about a month ago, the Vikings were plus 425, Bears were plus 450, so some increase for the Vikings there. But when you're really looking at all these teams in the NFC North, I think you can make a strong argument for every team to win the division this season. I think that speaks to how deep and just talented it is, where if you ask any fan base, even if you ask Bears fans, do you think you can win the NFC North? They're all saying yes. Same with Vikings fans, Packers fans, and Lions fans. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch this division. But speaking of, if you guys want the Vikes to win the NFC North this upcoming season, hit that thumbs up icon. I put today's goal as 500 likes. So if you guys want to help me out and help me avoid an awkward meeting with my bosses, hit that thumbs up icon today if you guys want the Vikes to win the NFC North. So we're going to start off today's show going over major concerns for each NFC North team and then give you guys 5 reasons why the Vikings can win it on the back half of today's show. But we got to start with the Detroit Lions. They have owned this division the last 2 seasons. They've owned the Minnesota Vikings the last 2 years specifically, but they have had some big losses to their coaching staff and the roster. They lost a total of 8 coaches this offseason, but the main 2 guys, Ben Johnson going to the Bears and Aaron Glenn going to the New York Jets. I don't think you can undersell the losses of these 2 guys. Like what Aaron Glenn did specifically in that Week 18 game versus the Vikings with all the injuries, he had a great defensive game plan. And obviously Ben Johnson, after watching season 2 of quarterbacks, like this dude can just scheme up free touchdowns for that team. So how would they manage that? That's going to be interesting. But you also lose Carlton Davis. I know you replaced him with DJ Reed, a very good replacement, but still a big loss there. And then you lose 2 guys on the offensive line. Kevin Zeitler going to the Tennessee Titans, and then Frank Ragnow retiring. Like you can't undersell that. I still think the Lions' offense personnel will be top tier, but even them taking a step back from winning 15 games, like they'll still probably be a 10, 11 win team. But you can't undersell those losses. But number 2 here, the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to put Jordan Love and just their defensive personnel. Now, mainly their defensive personnel, but we'll start off with Jordan Love. Now, honestly, I think as this offseason's kind of going on, I think we've overreacted to the down year that Love had in 2024. He was still solid. Like, he still had 25 touchdowns to 11 picks. Now, was he as special as he was during the second half of that 2023 season? No, but I still have faith in just Matt LaFleur, all those weapons. Packers always have good offensive lines. That Love should have a good year. But the biggest concern comes in the secondary, and there's no doubt about that. They had one receiver, I'm forgetting his name, running cornerback reps. You said what? Bo Melton running cornerback reps this past offseason, which was freaking hilarious in my opinion. But you telling me any of these guys are going to be able to match up with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, or even other teams in the division? Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. Even the Bears have a stacked receiving core now with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden. Like, this is going to be a massive, massive issue with the Packers. But, my take on them, I still think their offense should be elite this next season. Like, I have enough faith in Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur. We have seen these guys do it. Even LaFleur, when they still had Rodgers, he was putting up some great numbers there. But I have serious concerns if their defense can just hang in the NFC North. I think they're going to have to win a whole lot of shootouts this year. And can they? 100%. But just consistently throughout the season, I got some question marks there. And then my concerns with the Bears, I'm going to throw Caleb Williams in here. I think comparing his first year starting to like Trevor Lawrence with the Jags is a fair comparison. So I'm going to really count this as just a free year for or his first year starting for Caleb. And then also offensive line and edge rushers. Now, we can start off with the offensive line. I know they're getting all of the love from, Fox Sports, ESPN, PFF. They're all ranking the Bears' offensive line very, very high. But, they're having a left tackle battle right now. Braxton Jones still dealing with injuries. Ozzie, who they took in the second round this past draft. Like, just the fact they're having a battle, I don't love that for Chicago. And plus, as we know, on the offensive line, continuity and chemistry matters. So I think it could take them a couple weeks to get going. But everybody's freaking out about their offseason additions of Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, and Joe Tooney. I like Dahlman and Tooney. I think they'll be solid. But Jonah Jackson, I'm not really too sold on him. This past season, he only played in 4 games. He was limited with injuries. Only played 266 snaps. And, he graded out decently per PFF. But even that 2023 season, back with Detroit and Ben Johnson, he was solid. But again, I'm not sold on him being like a true elite offensive guard in Chicago. I think it could be a weak spot of the offensive line, plus with what's going on at left tackle. And listen, I understand the offensive line will be much improved. I mean, the Bears gave up a historic amount of sacks this past season, but I can see it being an issue at least early on because the one advantage I do think the Vikings have with their offensive line additions is that you got Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. They played with each other for the last 3 seasons. But with the Bears, these are all new pieces. It's a new system. You got a left tackle battle going on. There's just a lot of moving parts there. So I do think it will be improved. It might just take them some time. And, in terms of the Bears getting to the quarterback at the edge rusher position, they really don't have a blue chipper. Now, I will say, I think Montez Sweat will get back to who he was when the Bears traded for him in 2023 and obviously when he was with the Washington Commanders. But again, they don't really have a blue chipper on that defensive line. And with the NFC North having some elite offensive tackles, I don't think the Bears would be a dominant edge rushing group. So I got concerns there. And then obviously we know the concerns with the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy and the secondary. And we can start off with the secondary here. There's a big gap between the CB2 and CB3. Like clearly Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell, this whole coaching staff have a lot of faith in Isaiah Rodgers, and I do too. But besides that, like Mekhi Blackman coming off a torn ACL, entering year 3, question mark there. You got 2 UDFAs you really like in Dwight McGlothern and Zamia Vaughn. But then you got that X factor, Jeff Okudah. Can they get something out of him? But still, I think that third cornerback spot is a huge question mark for the Vikings. And then it all comes down to number 9. There's no doubt about it. Like, we know how stacked this team is. We know how stacked this coaching staff is. And if McCarthy, and I always think it's so funny when people talk about the Vikings and when they're trying to get like a negative take on them, they're like, oh, what if J.J. McCarthy isn't Sam Darnold? Well, turn that on you. What if J.J. McCarthy has a C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels-esque rookie year? What are we talking about with this football team? We're talking about them potentially competing and winning a Super Bowl. So it all comes down to number 9, and there's a lot of negativity out there on our starting quarterback. But let's get the good vibes going. Let's show J.J. McCarthy some love down below in the comments section. Type those 9s. Type his jersey number down below to show J.J. McCarthy some love. Now, coming up next, I do want to go through 5 reasons why you Vikings fans should believe in your football team this upcoming year. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Form. Now, start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I pivoted to Factor Form's Daily Greens, and it completely changed my life. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens. As the sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. Now, Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. And my favorite part, in a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out some of the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. So the number one reason why they believe in the Minnesota Vikings, and I think this is by far, is they have a top-tier coaching staff. Now, I think if you stacked up the Vikings coaching staff with any coaching staff in the National Football League, they can go toe for toe. Maybe I'd still take the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid and Spags, but with the Lions losing both coordinators, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, I think the trio that the Vikings have, I think this is the second best in the league. Kevin O'Connell, obviously offensive wizard. We know what he's all about, but you got, in my opinion, a top 2 defensive coordinator in the league in Brian Flores. And then the hidden gem, the guy that, started to get some buzz last year and a lot of buzz this offseason, Josh McCown. I think he's the best quarterback coach in the league. I mean, this guy was getting head coach interviews with the Houston Texans with D'Amico Ryans a couple of years ago. I expect, honestly, McCown and Flores to get head coaching jobs eventually. But this trio right here, I mean, what a better life for J.J. McCarthy. You got Josh McCown, you got Kevin O'Connell, and then you got Brian Flores manning that defense. So I'm sure Flo was telling KOC, McCown, McCarthy, all those guys offensively, hey, get to 21 points every week, and we got a good chance of winning a lot of football games. So top-tier coaching staff, number 1. And then number 2, much improved offensive line. I still laugh at the fact that the Vikings, once Christian Darrisaw tore his ACL and MCL in that Lions game on Thursday night, the fact that they're able to win 9 straight games after that is insane. And the offensive line from last year, to the left of Brian O'Neill, it was pretty poor. Like, Cam Robinson got his ass kicked in the Lions and Rams game the last 2 weeks of the season. Blake Brandel was pretty poor. Garrett Bradbury, you know who he is. And then Dalton Reisner, he's still unsigned for a reason. But now you have the upgrades this year. You have 4 new offensive linemen to the left of Brian O'Neill. Christian Darrisaw coming back. I've been saying that's probably the biggest addition any team has made this whole offseason. Just the Vikings getting a top 5 left tackle in the league. Could be the best left tackle in the league back in Darrisaw. But then you spent a first-round pick on Donovan Jackson. And then I love that they grabbed both Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. They already have the chemistry. They got the continuity. And then you obviously got Brian O'Neill holding down the right tackle spot. But maybe I'm underselling the Vikings defense with this one here. I think they got a top 5 defense. And when you have a top 5 defense, and in terms of just personnel-wise, and then you got Brian Flores on top of that, it's going to cause some problems. And if you just look at the elite defensive personnel here, like, take the 5 guys on the left of your screen right now. Grenard, Van Ginkel, Turner, Hargrave, and Allen. Imagine it's a 3rd and 8 situation, week 1, and you're going up against the Bears offensive line trying to figure it out, and you just line those 5 guys up on the line of scrimmage, and you could still drop back Turner. You could still drop back Van Ginkel. But if those 5 are all coming, a couple of them will get one-on-one opportunities, and I would have some faith in them getting it done. But then even on the right side, you got a great linebacker doing Pace and Cashman. You got some studs in the secondary, and Byron Murphy, Harrison Smith still kicking it, Josh Metellus. Like, those 10 guys, get those 10 on the field, and, you know, you could fill in Isaiah Rodgers, Harrison Phillips, those other guys. Even Theo Jackson. Like, the Vikings run 3 safety sets 97% of the time. So we'll see him a lot this season. But you got elite defensive personnel, plus Brian Flores. I got faith in this defense. And then also improve run game. Like, you know, that's why I love the Vikings offseason, because they address their biggest issues. They need to become a more physical football team, and that starts with running the football. And even though Kevin O'Connell doesn't instill, like, a physical culture like a guy like Dan Campbell or like Nick Sirianni does, sometimes you get a physical culture, you need to add physical players. And that's what the Vikings did. Like Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, Donovan Jackson, and probably one of the most physical running backs in the National Football League in Jordan Mason. If you guys have been watching the show all offseason, this is my favorite addition the Vikings have made. And I love showing this graphic, the Jordan Mason 2024 advanced stats, where he is all the way to the right next to Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. So on the bottom of your screen, it's rushing yards over expected per carry. Jordan Mason was 3rd in the whole league, next to the 2 best running backs in the league in Saquon and Derrick Henry. I understand a lot of people chalk it up to Kyle Shanahan and that system, and yes, for right reason, but he was also getting stacked boxes a lot, and he was making the most out of every single carry. So I think he could have a big year. And this might be my favorite point, and I really just thought about this about a week ago, but the battle scars this team has gone through, because, yes, the Vikings do have a new feel to them. Like, it's J.J. McCarthy. You had a bunch of new offseason additions, but this is still the same group that lost 2 huge playoff games. Like, the fact that they've been there and they've gone through that, having those battle scars. Like Jefferson, he's averaging 50 yards a game in per game during his postseason career in 2 games so far. I'm sure that bothers him. Like Christian Darrisaw, you know, Grenard losing last year. All of these guys having already lost a massive playoff game when you won 13 games this year, 14 games that year, like, that matters. And, you know, we see it in all sports. Like, even like the Thunder winning the NBA championship this year. They lost round 2 against the Mavericks the previous year. We've seen these teams. You got to go through it in the playoffs. You got to have some tough losses. Then hopefully, you know, going through that, it leads you to be more successful once postseason time comes around this upcoming season. But we appreciate everybody watching today's show. If you guys made it to the end, hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter at Pat Sieps is the handle. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. See you guys next time. As always, Skull Vikes.